CNN's Jim Acosta tries to twist Bible verse. Sarah Sanders takes him to Bible school. By Carmen Sabia, Politics U.S. News for MadWorldNews.com. CNN's Jim Acosta has finally discovered the Bible, but he is misrepresenting what it says in order to take a cheap shot at President Donald Trump. However, Acosta was promptly humiliated when he was taken to Bible school by White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders. It actually is not the first time progressives have cited the Bible. They generally use the Bible whenever they want to claim that Jesus was a socialist and would despise the Republican Party for not stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, even though there is no part of the Bible that mentions forcing people to donate their income to what others believe it should be used for. They routinely forget the Bible when they want to take any mention of God or any religious symbols out of the public square. They have no use for the Bible when they want to promote abortion. When they think they have something to use against Republicans, they become evangelists. That is what happened on Thursday after Attorney General Jeff Sessions used a verse from the Bible to explain American immigration policies. I would cite you to the Apostle Paul and his clear and wise command in Romans 13 to obey the laws of the government because God has ordained the government for his purposes, the Attorney General said when he was speaking to law enforcement officers in Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Washington Post reported, orderly and lawful processes are good in themselves. Consistent and fair application of the law is in itself a good and moral thing, and that protects the weak and protects the lawful. Then, at the daily White House press briefing, CNN's Jim Acosta, a man that is obsessed with his own celebrity, asked Sanders if she thought that separating children from their parents when they are detained at the border was biblical. This is a policy that was in place long before President Trump became president. Can I just ask a second question, completely unrelated to these children who are being separated from their families as they come across the border, he asked. The Attorney General earlier today said that somehow there's a justification for this in the Bible. Where does it say in the Bible that it's moral to take children away from their mothers? It is very biblical to enforce the law that is actually repeated a number of times throughout the Bible, Sanders said. Can you imagine the horror these kids must be going through when they come across the border, Jim Acosta asked. They're with their parents and they're suddenly pulled away from their parents. Why is the government doing this? Let's just take a quick listen to his righteous...
All right, so a lot there, but you know where I'd like to start? With the children. I want to start with the children at the border.
Of course you would.
You've seen these stories in recent days where these young babies, the kids, are being taken forcibly from their parents who are crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. And you saw our chief White House correspondent there, Jim Acosta, flat out asking Sarah Sanders, how separating these children from their parents is moral. And he cited something that the Attorney General Jeff Sessions had said today when he was speaking to his, and I'm quoting the AG, to his church friends. So first, if you hadn't seen what Sessions said, here it was, and here's the exchange with Jim and Sarah.
I thought I'd take a little bit of digression here to discuss some concerns raised by our church friends about separation of families. Many of the criticisms raised in recent days are not fair, not logical, and some are contrary to plain law. First, illegal entry into the United States is a crime. It should be, it must be, if you're going to have a legal system and have any limits whatsoever. Persons who violate the law of our nation are subject to prosecution. If you violate the law, you subject yourself to prosecution. Now, I would cite you to the Apostle Paul and his clear and wise command in Romans 13 to obey the laws of the government because God has ordained the government for his purposes. Orderly and lawful processes are good in themselves. Consistent, fair application of law is in itself a good and moral thing, and that protects the weak. It protects the lawful.
On these children who are being separated from their families as they come across the border, the Attorney General earlier today said that somehow there's a justification for this in the Bible. Where does it say in the Bible that it's moral to take children away from their mothers?
I'm not aware of the Attorney General's comments or what he would be referencing. I can say that it is very biblical to enforce the law. That is actually repeated a number of times throughout the Bible. However, this hold on, Jim, if you'll let me finish. Again, I'm not going to comment on the attorney's specific comments that I haven't seen.
It's in the Bible to
That's
follow
not
the
what
law.
I said, and I know it's hard for you to understand. Even short sentences, I guess, but please don't take my words out of context. But the separation of illegal alien families is the product of the same legal loopholes that Democrats refuse to close. And these laws are the same that have been on the books for over a decade. And the president is simply enforcing them.
Policy to take children away from their parents.
He doesn't listen.
Can you
It's a
imagine
moral
the horror
policy
that
to
these children
follow
must
and
be going
enforce the
through
law.
when they come across the border,
Jim.
they're with their parents, and then suddenly they're pulled away from their parents? Why is the government doing this?
Because it's the law, and that's what the law states. And the law.
You guys don't have to do that.
You're right, it doesn't have to be the law, and the president has actually called on Democrats in Congress to fix those loopholes. The Democrats have failed to come to the table, failed to help this president close these loopholes and fix this problem. We don't want this to be a problem. The president has tried to address it a number of occasions. We've laid out a proposal, and Democrats simply refuse to do their job and fix the problem. Paula, go ahead. Sorry, Jim, I've given you enough time.
Jim
You see?
Acosta is there for us, Jim.
Oh, please, we don't want to hear this idiot. Really? Well, he wouldn't listen. The Democrats put this law. He's only following the law. Trump is trying to change that law. But they had no qualms about it when Obama was in office. So Acosta and the other reporters at the press briefing somehow missed the parts of the Bible that include borders and include enforcing the law of the land. Sanders did not forget and was willing to educate them because it's the law and that's what the law states. Okay. I'm not going to reread what she said. Acosta knows that these laws are not new. They have been in place for several administrations, but it never mattered to grandstanding Jim before President Trump was elected. The fake outrage, I would say, is ridiculous. Somewhere along the line, Acosta forgot that it is his job to report on the White House and its policies, not to be a social commentator. It is the reason the president and others continue to call CNN fake news. Acosta and his employer have no one to blame but themselves. Yeah, it's only a problem when President Trump does something. Trump was just going along with the law that was in place for decades. So they don't mention that Trump is trying to change the law and the Democrats won't come to the table. No, let's not mention that, right? And this is what sickens me, and I'm sure it sickens a lot of you guys, CNN just spews their own garbage continuously, and they're getting money to spew that trash continuously. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and again, thank you so much for watching.